Hey everyone, and welcome back to the 9 Frames podcast. This is episode 28. It is Monday, September 25th, 2023. I am Bill Whalen.
And I'm Mike Whalen.
You can catch us on YouTube as always at 9 Frames Podcast. We're on Spotify at 9 Frames. Our X is at 9 Frames Pod, and we're on playergm.com. Please like and subscribe, folks. Let's get into the baseball because October is fastly approaching, man.
Yeah, and these games also this past weekend, they felt like playoff games, a lot of them.
Definitely.
Premature playoff games.
Yeah, and some teams are playing some not-so playoff teams for sure, and some are doing great, some are not doing great, man.
I know what you're referring to, and man, it's been ugly for the Houston Astros.
We'll start with some of the great stuff, though. The Chicago Cubs do complete the sweep of the Colorado Rockies. We said they had to do this, at least 2 out of 3, but they did complete the sweep with a 4-3 win on Sunday, scoring 3 in the 6th inning to do so.
That's handling your business.
Definitely. Chicago's now a half game back of the Snakes for second in the wild card spot, and they're a full game up on Miami for that 3rd spot, so they're feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, but I mean, even after a sweep, to only be a game up because Miami took care of their business.
Yeah, I guess
it's pretty
tough
scary.
Team. We will talk more about Miami. They're playing pretty good ball right now,
They're
man.
playing their hearts out.
Definitely.
6 games left, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it couldn't be closer right now.
Couple series.
Even Cincinnati's got a shot here, but they're not doing great right now either. We'll get into that. Houston embarrassingly gets swept out of their own building by the Kansas City Royals. That is just a bad look, man.
A 102-loss baseball team went into Minute Maid Park and swept, at the time, the first place Houston Astros.
Yeah.
Put them all the way back to 3rd.
Houston came into that series with they are in second.
By
yeah.
a half game.
But Houston came into that game with a half-game lead on both Texas and Seattle, and now they are 2.5 games back of the AL West, and only a half game up on Seattle, who they visit starting today for a 3-game set.
See what I mean?
Yeah, everybody better be tuning into that game at 9:40 if you can, because it's going to be a great one.
The premature playoff games continue to roll.
For sure. I wanted to get into this real quick because we talked about the Reds for a second. This is not the look you want. Pittsburgh becomes the first team in 206 tries to come back from 9-0 deficit to win 13-12 in Cincinnati, that is.
Yeah, teams were perfect this year when being up 9-0, as you'd expect, man, because if you're up 9-0, it's kind of difficult to blow that.
Seriously, yeah. 205-0, but now 205-1 thanks to the Cincinnati Reds. And these are games that they need to win. They're currently 2 games out of the wild card.
2.5 now.
Yeah, it's 2.5 games out of the wild card, and it's not looking great. They're not feeling great after that one, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you saw it, but the Reds, I don't know who it was on the Reds, but somebody apparently said that the Pirates were like they shouldn't be taken seriously, and then the Pirates go out and do that to them.
Oh, that wasn't the Cubs?
No, I think it was the Reds.
Because the Cubs were just beefing with the Pirates the last week, saying basically the same thing.
Maybe you're
Rossi
right.
and
Maybe you're right. Maybe it was David Ross. But I mean, the point still stands. Late season, man, these playoff fringe teams can't take these teams for granted just because they're lower in the standings, because they still want to play spoiler.
Yeah, Pittsburgh giving a heartbreaking loss to Cincinnati there, and obviously Kansas City sweeping Houston. Houston just dropped 2 out of 3 to Kansas City last week, and 2 out of 3 to Oakland as well.
Yeah,
games they can't afford to lose.
They've lost 5 of 6 to the Royals, man. That's really brutal in September.
Yeah, talking about some more good teams, though. John Means takes a no-hitter into the 7th inning on Saturday in a 2-1 Baltimore win over Cleveland.
Welcome back.
Cleveland only got 1 hit in that game with a Andres Jimenez homer. That's it.
Yeah,
really great day.
Unfortunately for Means, it is a homer that leaves the yard, but still phenomenal. Phenomenal game.
You walk off that mound with your head held high for sure after that one. He's feeling great.
That's your second start in over almost 2 years because of Tommy John surgery. You'll definitely take that.
Great to have him back for postseason time now.
No better time for him to come back, too.
Talking about postseason time, man, Max Fried and Charlie Morton, they both hit the IL. Max Fried could come back. It's a blister for him.
I think he will.
Morton is not eligible for the NLDS.
No.
He is done.
Yeah, Morton will be off the NLDS roster, but I do think that Fried will be back.
Yeah, I mean,
they need
these guys.
Yeah, a blister can be taken care of, but What is it that Morton's dealing with? Do you know?
I wasn't sure what it was, but I think it is some kind of tightness with some kind of ligament. So, I mean, that's not something to be played with.
I mean, if they're already ruling him out of the NLDS, it's got to be something semi-serious.
Yeah, for sure. I'll actually touch on that in a second. But real quick, congratulations to the Minnesota Twins. They clinched their first AL Central title since 2020. Not too long, just 3 years.
It's been only 2 division champions in between. It was the White Sox in 21 and the Guardians last year, but the Twins are back on top.
Yeah. Also, just an odd thing, it has actually a finger issue with Charlie Morton as well.
But it's not a blister, is it like a...
Nobody's really sure here. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I guess
very
it's just
odd.
Like a discrete finger issue?
Finger injury. So,
right.
Finger issues on the Braves right now. And again, just all respect and credit to the Twins. This is their division this year. We've been saying it's inevitable for the Twins to finish it off, and they do so this weekend.
Yeah, congratulations to the Twins, and hopefully you guys can maybe win a playoff game this year.
Yeah, not bad pitching, so it's definitely possible. As of right now, they would be facing
Houston.
So
who knows? Maybe they could sneak a game because they did just get swept by the Royals, so who knows?
Right.
They might even be able to win that series. I don't even know with Houston right now.
Oh, no, they wouldn't be facing Houston, right?
Yeah, they would. It's the 3-6.
The 3-6. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that would be in the 3-game wild card series.
So it'd either be Houston or maybe Seattle at a half game
That'd
back.
be an interesting one with the way Houston's playing right now. So we'll keep an eye on those as the season draws to a close. It's been really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get into the really big series of the weekend now.
We're going to start this episode's main segments off in the AL West because this was a massive series coming into the weekend. Seattle heading to Texas for a 3-game set as they were tied for the last wildcard spot, and they were both a half game back of the Houston Astros at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking about it as if it was going to be like maybe a toss-up, but it really didn't seem to go that way.
No, one way or another, the AL West had to change this weekend, and it did, man, it did.
Yeah, one team definitely took the bull by the horns there.
Game 1 was Bryce Miller versus Dane Dunning. It wasn't the most relevant pitching matchup, which is crazy because both of these pitchers ended up getting hit around eventually. The line score for this one does not look good for Seattle, man, because the Rangers start early and they keep it going. First inning's a Seager home run. That's his 32nd of the year, dude.
Dude, what an incredible signing.
On a shortened year, he has 32. He missed a long time. People didn't even know if he was going to have enough at-bats to be eligible on the year.
Real quick before you continue, do you think he has like an outside shot at MVP?
I do. He
has like the next 2 series that were crazy.
Seager easily gets my second place vote right now, and with Ohtani sitting out those couple of weeks, and he's missed some time before earlier in the season, they're kind of on an equal playing field. It's kind of hard to say that he's not as valuable.
I mean, what is Seager even hitting still? He's got to be hitting like, he's at what, 333 still?
He's absolutely filthy.
Yeah, that's insane, man.
Yeah, it's insane. Keeping it going with this game, the second inning, Carter gets his 3-run homer. That's his 3rd of the year, Evan Carter.
Yeah, he's been a nice jolt since coming up.
Really has. That makes it 4-0 early for the Rangers, and that hurts for Seattle for sure. The next runs continue with Texas. It's a 5th inning small ball 4 spot, man. Now it's 8-0 Texas Rangers. That's almost impossible. We literally just said we saw the first comeback of this size in 206 tries of this season.
Yeah, literally, it's only happened one time in the entire season, and it just happened. It's probably not very likely to happen again, and it just didn't.
I know the Texas bullpen has been on the struggle bus, but not to that extent, man. Seattle tries to claw back. They have a 4 spot of their own in the 6th. With a Raleigh home run, a Cal Raleigh home run for his 30th of the year, man.
30-bomb season for Cal Raleigh.
Super impressive. And then a run walks in for their 4th, and they leave him loaded after that. Super disappointing.
Yeah, they could have actually clawed back into the game if they had 1 or 2 more hits, but...
Yeah, I mean, they end up getting another run in the 9th, but Texas takes game 1 here and the AL West lead right away as soon as they can. That's an 8-5 win.
Yeah, because you got to remember during this series every single day as these games go on, Houston is losing to Kansas City.
Yeah, which is just really disappointing, man. Those are games that you got to take, and they do not.
Nope.
Game 2 is a heartbreaker for Seattle, man. They had some fight today, but they just couldn't get the runs in. This was Logan Gilbert versus Jordan Montgomery, who's been phenomenal for Texas.
Really, really great trade.
This is a pitcher's duel as we guessed, but even more so than we thought it would be. The only runs of this whole game come on RBI singles by Mitch Garver in the second and Jonah Heim in the fourth, as Texas takes this game 2-0 to go up in the series 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, we were just saying Jordan Montgomery. He goes 7 innings and allows 5 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 6 Ks. Man, like
absolutely filthy.
That's another quality start. Leclerc has an inning and a third, allowing only 1 hit, striking out 2, and then Chapman comes in and locks it down.
Yeah, Seattle ended up getting 2 on in the ninth, but Chapman did shut it down eventually with a very sharply hit ground ball to end that game. Seattle's reeling right now, not feeling great after that. They're down 2-0 in the series.
No, and actually those two guys that came out of the bullpen at the end of that game are probably the two that are going to do it every time it's a close game for the Rangers. That's their righty and lefty, and their ERAs are pretty solid, man. Leclerc's in the 2.6s, and Chapman was in the 2.8s. So.
Yeah, a lot of blown saves though, man.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, you still got to have faith in guys that have sub-3 ERAs in September.
Most definitely.
Nearly
most
October.
Definitely. Yeah, and Seattle needs Game 3 here coming into Sunday's game. It is Brian Wu versus Nate Eovaldi. So they did, by the way, we mentioned this on Friday, Friday's episode, how they might move up because Texas had TBDs on both Saturday and Sunday. They just moved their rotation up and they short-rested both Montgomery and Eovaldi. And clearly paid off.
I mean, for Montgomery more so than Eovaldi, it definitely paid off for Montgomery. He shoved on Saturday.
Yeah, on Sunday's game, though, runs come early and often here as Marcus Semien hits his 26th homer of the year in the first, and Teoscar Hernandez responds for Seattle with his 26th homer of the year in the second. That sets the tone as it's 1-1 now. Seattle keeps that going with a J.P. Crawford home run, his 17th of the year to make it 2-1. It's the battle of the solo homers. You get guys on that could be a lot more detrimental to the pitchers.
Yeah, crooked numbers for sure.
Seattle, unfortunately, Brian Wu melts down for Seattle in the third and the fourth. Seager gets a homer for his 33rd of the year in the third. His fingerprints are all over this series.
It's like every game the guy hits a home run or he's just in the some kind of stat line in the scorecard every single night.
For real. MVP maybe.
Yeah.
Texas gets a huge 4 spot in the fourth off Wu and a reliever as well. I'm forgetting at the time, but that makes it 7-2 Texas. So another one, man. Not an easy deficit to come back from, even if it is Texas's bullpen.
No, but one thing I will give this Seattle team is they do not quit.
No, they haven't quit all series. Yeah, they kept fighting. They even had 6 hits in that shutout. So, I mean, they are a team that hits. They end up getting a 3 spot in the 6th here, including a Sam Haggerty triple, his first of the year. It was a weird misplay by Evan Carter in left field, but it happens. It's a weird wall over there.
Yeah, and he's also new. He hasn't played many games out there. It's an adjustment.
Yeah, that 3 spot makes it 7-5. But speaking of Evan Carter, he hits a 2-run homer for his 4th of the year off of Edward Bizardo to make it 9-5 for Texas.
Immediately making up for the misplay.
9-5 will do it too. Seattle does make it spicy with a 3 spot in the 7th. They get 3 RBI singles in that inning, so they're playing small ball. That makes it 9-8 Texas. But Jonathan Hernandez, Brock Burke, and Jose Leclerc, they combined for 2 1/3 shutout innings, and Texas wins this one 9-8 for a massive sweep.
So Texas's bullpen was what was struggling, and it seemed in this series it was picking them up.
They definitely held it down, and the AL West is shaken after this weekend. Houston gets swept by Kansas City, as we mentioned a couple times in this episode. That puts Texas 2.5 games up on them. They're feeling good right now because, what is there, 6 games left in the year? 5 games for some teams?
6, 5, to just a couple series for each team, yeah.
Houston's got a half game on Seattle, like we said, for that last wild card spot. And the last 2 series for Seattle, Houston visits Seattle for a 3-game, and then Texas visits Seattle for a 4-game to end the year.
Hey, man, at least they're home.
Seattle's got to fight for their life, and they're coming off a sweep. Yeah, you better defend your home turf because your season depends on it, and Houston as well.
You just had a rough series on the road if you're Seattle. At least you're getting to go home for 2.
So crazy how huge that game is between Houston and Seattle tonight, and confidence is at an all-time low.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Houston is a little worse off because they have to travel on the road now after getting swept at home by just a terrible team.
Very true. Texas will be playing the Angels starting Monday, that is, and then they'll be facing off against the Mariners on the weekend, obviously.
That's a nice draw to get if you're Texas. The Angels without Ohtani and Trout.
And tonight's matchup, if you want to keep an eye on it, man, Justin Verlander, who's 11-8 with a 3.44 ERA going for the Astros, against Luis Castillo, who is 14-7 with a 3.06. Have yourself a year.
He was a great trade for the Mariners last year, and them keeping him around was a great idea because he really I think he is the ace of this team. I think he's just a little bit better than Gilbert, and I think he's a little bit better than Kirby.
Fair enough.
And I think him being a veteran, it's nice for him to just lead those guys.
Definitely. Yeah, we're going to talk to you guys on Wednesday about that Astros-Mariners series because it doesn't get any bigger than that.
No. We're going to keep it in the American League here, and another divisional battle. This one is not between teams that are close in the standings, but it is just as big for one team as Toronto begins the final stretch of 6 games against Tampa Bay in 10 days on Friday.
Yeah, not for nothing. You're saying it's big for Toronto. It's very big for Tampa Bay, too. They still have a chance at this division.
Yeah, they definitely do, but I mean, I was talking about in a sense of making the postseason in general because Tampa Bay's in. They're the 1 seed in the wild card or the division champs. They're going to be a high seed regardless.
Definitely bigger for Toronto, yeah.
Yeah, so this game 1, you can tell that it's bigger for Toronto because they're going to take this one to 6-2, and in large part it was because Chris Bassett, we were talking about on Friday, that he needed to step up and be the guy that they signed him to be, and he really was, man.
Yeah, this is exactly the type of start that we thought he would have.
Yeah, he goes 6 2/3, allowing 6 hits, only 2 earned, no walks, 8 Ks. So Seabass was shoving.
Yeah, I mean, he might have even looked a little bit better than we would have even given him credit for at the time.
Yeah, man, and he has 15 wins now, so that's nearly top, or maybe even tied for atop the American League in wins.
Very solid year for
so
Bassett.
He's had exactly the kind of year as they wanted, and he outdueled who I call the Rays ace, obviously, Tyler Glasnow, who is now 9-7 with a 3.68 after this one. He goes 5 1/3, 3 hits, 4 earned, 4 walks, so he has a little bit of command issues, but he does still strike out 7, like you said. Even if he struggles, he's still going to have 7-8 strikeouts.
Super disappointing, though, because we said coming into this game, they needed Glasnow to step up because he was coming off a tough start against Baltimore, and he didn't.
Yeah,
he
didn't have a quality start again. He was going, though, man.
As you can see, he wasn't getting hit around. He was just missing the zone.
Yeah, he was cruising for the first 5 innings, too. He really just ran into trouble in the 6th, but we'll get into that. The Rays were up 1-0 as they get a first-inning run, and that's all it would be until the 6th inning. It would just be 1-0. So Bassett and Glasnow were going back and forth until Glasnow struggled with his command, as you said, in that 6th inning, and he gives up a 4 spot to Toronto to put them up 4-2 or 4-1, and they just wouldn't look back.
Yeah, he gassed out there. It's disappointing to see because, I mean, as a manager, you have to send your ace out there for the 6.
Absolutely.
It just didn't work out.
Yeah, especially when he was going well, but maybe he could have got the hook a little bit quicker. I don't know. It's all speculation for a team that's already in the postseason. So
yeah, for sure. Toronto ends up adding 2 more in the 9th inning there to make it 6-2, and that'll do it.
Yeah, so I think the Rays were battling back a little bit there in the 9th inning because Romano would come in and shut the door and get his 36th save of the year, man. He's been really good for them.
Very impressive year for Jordan Romano.
He missed a little bit of time there, too, and he still is going to have nearly a 40-save season.
Could have had a 40 save for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Game 2, though, went the complete opposite direction, and it was a 7-6 Tampa Bay win. Tampa Bay jumps up early 4-0 off of Ryu in the first inning, thanks to homers from Yandy Diaz, his 21st of the year, who's been absolutely phenomenal for the Rays. Another one of those steals that nobody knew he was going to be an all-star, but now he is.
Yeah, the Rays factory.
And Josh Lowe, who hits his 19th. Another guy that I wasn't really hearing about that just came out of nowhere and going to give them a 20-homer season. And they would add a 5th run to go up 5-0 in the 4th inning thanks to a Christian Bethancourt home run. That was his 11th.
Yeah, it kind of seems like the story of the weekend are these early leads that are just insurmountable to him.
That Rays, man, they got a powerful lineup.
Yeah, and so many of these teams are trying to fight back from these big deficits, and they get so close, man. They're just not finishing it off because it's so much.
Yeah, my next point was that Toronto actually would come back all the way back. They would score 6 unanswered and end up taking a 6-5 lead. That would be thanks to in the top of the 6th inning, George Springer hits his 23rd double to score 2. Vladdy has an RBI single, and Biggio doubles his 12th of the year to make it 5-4 Tampa Bay. So they're chipping away in that 6th inning. Fast forward to the 8th inning, a wild pitch by Pete Fairbanks and a bases loaded walk by Whit Merrifield forces in the go-ahead run, and the Jays take a 6-5 lead in that 8th.
Yeah, we've been hyping up Pete Fairbanks. He's been really good lately. Not so much in this game. A bit of a struggle, obviously losing the zone there. But what happens there?
So not like the other teams that would battle back and fall a little bit short. The Jays actually do take that lead.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately for them, Romano, who we just said got his 36th save of the year yesterday, or on Friday, not yesterday, comes into Saturday night, and he gives up a 2-spot in the bottom of the 9th inning, thanks to a Curtis Mead single to tie the game. Nice rookie. He's had a nice rookie season for them since coming up.
Yeah, Rays having the big lead early and just finishing off the game there, so Toronto's fighting for their life.
Yeah, so Mead ties the game 6-6, and then Josh Lowe, who hit the home run earlier, he walks it off, and Romano blows the save. So it's a 7-6 Tampa Bay Rays W.
Yeah, Tampa finding ways to win as they do.
And we got a 1-1 series now going into Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jays desperately need these games, man, because they were just sitting one game up.
Absolutely massive rubber game.
Yeah, so Game 3 was an absolute offensive battle. Tampa Bay scores 2 in the first inning thanks to a Paredes single, and Junior Caminero, who they just called up, one of their top prospects, gets his first MLB hit, which is an RBI single.
Very nice to have an RBI as your first hit.
Just did not take very long for him to get on the board. Really impressive stuff. The Jays would get 5 runs in the second, though. Another big inning. That's what we've been talking about, these big innings that have happened
Big
over
story
the
of
weekend.
weekend.
And they just wouldn't give the lead back. So it was in the second inning, Whit Merrifield has an RBI single to score 2. That immediately ties the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then George Springer hits a massive inside the park 3-run homer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it.
Weird play. I did see the highlight of it. Just an odd play in an oddly built stadium.
Yeah, I mean, a 3-run homer, so now they're up 5-2, and the Rays would try to chip away. They would get a run in the 4th thanks to Taylor Walls, who they really needed to come back. His injury kind of hurt them offensively a little bit. But Vlad Guerrero would step up in the 6th inning and hit his 25th bomb of the season to make it 6-3. I wanted to give this guy a little bit of credit real quick for the Rays. In the bottom of the 7th, Isak Paredes hits his 30th home run of the year. He has been such a phenomenal trade because they traded away Austin Meadows for him, and I don't know if you know, or you do. I know you know. He hasn't played really at all this year with the anxiety issues.
Yeah.
And they got a 30-homer season out of this guy.
Yeah, and that's a 2-run homer there for his 3rd RBI of the day. Yeah, have a day, have a year, man.
Yeah, he cuts it to 6-5, but Varsho would hit his 3rd triple for the Blue Jays to make it 7-5 in the 8th inning, and then in the 9th inning, the 2 big guns for the Jays would top it off with a Bo Bichette home run, his 20th, and Vlad would hit his 2nd of the game, his 26th, to make it 9-5, and that would be the final score of the game.
Yeah, the Tampa Bats kept trying to fight back. It was a valiant effort. You got to give them credit, but, man, Toronto Bats just suffocated them.
Yeah, definitely. So after the first 2 of the series, and winning the first of 2 series against the Rays.
Right.
And taking 2 of 3 against the Rays in this series, Toronto sits +2 for the 2nd wild card spot over Houston and 2.5 over Seattle for that final AL wild card.
Absolutely massive for Toronto to take 2 out of 3 here with both of those teams getting swept. Those are the games you need to take.
Yeah, absolutely, because now they're building a little bit of separation, and they still got to play the Rays one more time, who do, like you said, still have a reason to play for that division.
Mm-hmm. A lot of tough matchups for all 4 of those teams, Tampa Bay, Toronto, Houston, and Seattle, as they face each other.
There is a series in between, so we're not really sure how that goes. With the Orioles might have clinched the AL East by the time these 2 play again. But
yeah, the Orioles are facing off against the Nationals. Tampa Bay will be going to Boston for a set, and Toronto will be facing the Yankees at home.
Yeah, so it's still up for grabs, but the chances are dwindling.
Mm-hmm,
not over, though.
No, not over at all. What are they, 2 games out now?
2.5, I believe.
2.5 out, yeah.
with
I
6
don't know.
left.
I mean, it's the thing is, they keep getting close, but I don't think Baltimore's foot's coming off that pedal. I think they want 100, and they need 3 more.
Yeah, they got to go 3-3 for 100, and they play Washington and Boston. I think they're going to do it.
For sure. I believe that as well.
The Baltimore's probably going to take that division, so we'll see what happens with that Toronto series.
Moving on over to the NL for what was a really fun series. Milwaukee visiting Miami for a 3-game set this weekend. And man, the plus-minus in this does not tell the whole story at all.
No, absolutely not.
Does Miami get the wins they need? We said they needed it much more than Milwaukee, and it is definitely true. Game 1, man, could not be worse.
This is why the plus-minus doesn't look the way it does.
Yeah, Milwaukee domination early and often. This is Burns versus Chargois as an opener, but that's just irrelevant, man. It really doesn't matter who's pitching.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not really sure if it mattered who the Marlins sent out that day.
Nah, Milwaukee came out here swinging for sure.
I
They
mean-
put up a 12 spot in the top of the second.
I was just looking at that shit.
They
12 runs in an inning is crazy.
They got homers by Donaldson and Yelich in that inning, and they more than bat around. I mean, easily. It's 12 scores.
He's actually been pretty nice for them.
Yeah, Donaldson's been nice since he got there. He
Which is kind of crazy.
needed a change of scenery.
Yeah.
Corbin Burns, the former Cy Young, he goes 5 innings pitched, no runs given up, only 2 hits, 2 walks, and he gets 6 Ks. So a good game for him. He gets a win.
Such a great arm.
Yeah, he's 10-8 on the year with a 3.46. And this game feels like a real spirit breaker for Miami as they battle for a playoff spot, man.
Yeah, what were they, setting a game out at that time?
Pretty funny, though. The Brewers clinch in this game, a postseason spot, that is, with Rowdy Tellez pitching a scoreless frame and getting a strikeout.
Yeah.
He looked phenomenal on the mound, the big fella, the big lefty.
Pretty funny stuff. He'll go down in the history books as being one of the pitchers that was on the mound to clinch a postseason series for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Does not happen basically ever, which is crazy.
Can't take it away from him, though. He really did it.
So game 1, very disappointing, 16-1 loss. Miami needs to respond.
Really nice to see how they do after such a spirit breaker, man.
For sure. Game 2 is more like it. It is a battle with Miami showing fight from the very beginning. This was Brandon Woodruff versus Jesus Luzardo, so both studs, man. But both starters are feeling the pressure sooner or later. Miami starts with a Jake Berger home run. That's his 34th of the year. That's a 3-run homer in the first. And Nick Fortes gets a sac fly in the fourth to go up 4-0 pretty early on Woodruff. Honestly, respect.
Yeah, I was giving Woodruff all the credit on Friday, saying I thought he was maybe the best of the 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, Woodruff's up there for sure. He's had the limited innings this year, and this kind of brings him back to earth here.
Yeah, this was by far the worst start of his season so far.
Yeah, Milwaukee responds strong after 5 shutout innings by Luzardo by loading the bases in the 6th with no outs. Contreras gets an RBI single, and then Santana pimps a 3-run homer off A.J. Puck to tie the game at 4.
I believe that was his 300th of his career.
Very impressive stuff.
Congratulations to Carlos Santana.
Phenomenal career for sure.
100%.
The bases are loaded for Miami in the 8th, and sadly, Joel Payamps, maybe Yoel Payamps, excuse me, with an awful wild pitch sees the go-ahead run score standing. That's the end of the game.
In the 8th inning, too, man.
That is the end of the game. Tanner Scott comes in. He gets 2 Ks and his 10th save of the year. I just wanted to say, watch for Tanner Scott next year.
I was going to say, man, he's been something else since they put him in the closer role.
He's at a 2.41 ERA after that game, man. He's got 10 saves. He's pretty he can't miss.
Nah, I mean, he's been nails.
Really solid guy.
Yeah.
Game 3 is the rubber game between Cabrera and Peralta. That is Edward Cabrera and Freddie Peralta. And they would both get decisions in this game. Peralta has a rough game, though. He goes 3 innings pitched, 9 hits, 4 runs given up, 2 home runs, man. So we were giving a little love to Peralta on Friday's episode, but not a great showing here.
Yeah, I mean, we went through his last 7 where it said he was in the 1s with his ERA.
Yeah, he was at a
so
1.99.
I mean, everybody has a bad start every once in a while. It's just, I mean, luckily they're already in the post, and their number to win the Central is 1.
Yeah, and you'd rather have this right before the postseason
Yeah.
than when he's going to be pitching there. Maybe he gets the jitters out.
Get it out now. The Brewers are probably going to be a 90-win team. You'd assume they win 2 of their next, 6 or 7, whatever they're playing.
Fair to say. They
So
face off against St. Louis now, so I would say so.
yeah, so they should take 2 of that series in general. So I mean, the Brewers are going to be a 90-win team. Get the shakes out now and get ready for the postseason because he's definitely going to be their Game 3 starter
For sure. Edward Cabrera,
If it
solid
gets
game
there.
for him. Yeah, very true.
because it's a 3-game series.
Solid game for Edward Cabrera in this one. He goes 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 walks, 5 Ks, only 1 run given up, and the W goes to Cabrera with the L going to Peralta.
Huge start for Cabrera. That's exactly what the Marlins needed.
That 1 run that they get off Cabrera, that's the only run that Milwaukee gets all game, off of a Tyrone Taylor RBI single. Hell of a game for Miami here as they take 2 out of 3. Birdie has 2 homers in this game.
Rare 2-homer Birdie game.
John Birdie with his 5th and 6th homer of the year, and Josh Bell gets his 22nd homer of the year to propel Miami to a series win over a team everyone's really high on in baseball, man.
Yeah, I mean, they've gained my respect undoubtedly over the past 2 months.
That was Milwaukee's best 3 arms, and they take 2 out of 3 after dropping the first game 16-1. And that 16-1 game is it was a punt from the second inning, so this could have been a sweep for them.
I mean, I don't know if you're looking at what I'm looking at, but as the standings sit right now, the Marlins are a game out of that 6th spot, and the Brewers are going to be 3. Mm-hmm. That is the first round series right now, and they would have just won it.
Yeah, Milwaukee could be sweating seeing Miami coming up in the rear view.
Because it's going to be those same 3 pitchers.
Yeah, definitely.
So they already saw them.
Pretty crazy to say it like that, but that is true.
They potentially just saw the postseason rotation that they're going to see in like a week.
God, imagine Miami lost game 1 of the playoffs 16-1 and end up winning the series to eliminate them.
Everyone would be losing their minds.
Difference between that, though, Miami had the home field advantage here. They would not have that in the postseason.
That is very true, but they did have 17 hits in this game, man, and I really don't think the building matters for that.
Mm-hmm. And we were talking about it. The plus-minus is 21-12 for Milwaukee as they lose 2 out of 3 here. Pretty wild.
Yeah, that'll do it when you win a game 16-1. You have a plus 15 for game 1.
Miami's still a game back in the NL wild card behind Chicago, like you said, as they swept Colorado. But Arizona's only a half game up on Chicago for that 2nd spot.
Oh yeah, they're not locked in.
No, that's
they gotta
wild.
play. They gotta play. Houston. To end the year.
Yeah, very true.
I mean, those are 2 teams that are going to be battling.
Mm-hmm.
They both need those wins, and they both can't get them.
As we said, Milwaukee's coming up on a set with the lowly Cardinals, and Milwaukee is visiting the Mets, who they just had a rough series with last week.
Miami, you mean?
I meant Miami. Did I not say Miami?
You said Milwaukee.
Oh, Milwaukee will be playing St. Louis. Miami will be visiting the Mets, who they just had a rough series against last week.
One thing I will say, Miami needs to be real careful with these next 2 series. It's 2 teams that are out. It's the Pirates and the Mets. The Pirates have already played spoiler. They've hurt the Reds' chances.
Oh, and the Mets against the Marlins is a nightmare, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
They already just lost a series against the Mets, so that's probably why they're a game out right now.
Yeah, Miami and Milwaukee both getting the night off tonight, so rest up, boys. We're making a run at it.
So for the last little section and the wrap on the episode, we're going to talk about a series that began on Thursday that we talked about, the 7-2 win over San Francisco for the Los Angeles Dodgers. But how would the rest of the series go is the question.
Yeah, we got an NL West quote-unquote rivalry, folks.
For a Giants team that desperately needs wins because there aren't many games left, and they were 3 games out after that Thursday game.
Yeah, they were coming into the series just 2 games out. So
started 2 games out in the series. After losing the first one, they're 3 games out. Going into Friday, though, they really had a good game, the Giants. It was basically all Giants, as the Dodgers would only muster up 5 hits, man. It was a rare offensive blank for them. They get, like I said, 1 run on 5 hits, as Sean Manaea was just absolutely great. He goes 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, and only 2 Ks. He really doesn't strike out many guys anymore. And San Francisco is going to win this one 5-1.
That's exactly the type of win San Francisco needs after a 7-2 loss. They really flipped fortunes there and basically played the same game against their rivals.
Yeah, it was 3-0 going into the bottom of the 8th. The Dodgers get their lone run in the bottom of the 8th. And then one thing I wanted to note, Tyler Fitzgerald of the San Francisco Giants hits his first Major League home run to make it 5-1. Congratulations to the kid.
Shout out Tyler Fitzgerald. We'll keep your eye on you.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing in a game where his team needs him to have big hits to maybe put them in the postseason picture, and his first Major League home run, man, that's a big deal.
Way to step up.
So 5-1 Giants win after the second game.
Feeling pretty good to split the first 2 in Chavez Ravine. The Giants, how do they bounce back, man?
They bounce back in absolute piss-poor fashion, man. The Dodgers basically answer this game exactly how you'd expect the Dodgers to answer the game, especially with Clayton Kershaw on the mound. It's 7-0. It's a 7-0 skunk of the Giants. The Dodgers, that is, allows 5 San Francisco base runners all game, 2 hits and 3 walks.
Yeah, brutal game for the Giants in this one. Man, they're just they're hoping that or I guess they were wishing that this was the last game of the series, but man, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. And one person that had an absolute nasty game in this game was J.D. Martinez, and it's really been the whole series so far.
Yeah, for sure.
He started it with his 31st home run. Then he gets a 2 RBI double, his 25th double. So he's got 30 homers, 25 doubles, man.
The first 3 RBI of the game are him on 2 separate at-bats. Very impressive stuff.
Freddie Freeman would add his 57th double of the year on his quest to 60 doubles.
I hope he gets to 60 just because, man,
It's a crazy number.
I don't know if we're going to see it.
No, it's absolutely unheard of. Muncy would add a single to make it 5-0, and then Mookie Betts would add his 40th double to make it 7-0.
Yeah, those numbers in that lineup are so impressive, man.
Kershaw just wasn't really. He really just wasn't hittable. He goes 5 1/3, I think it was. I believe it was 5. It's just 5 flat, 2 hits, 2 walks, 5 Ks.
Yeah, only 2 hits. The vet stays strong.
Yeah, I mean, he's just continuing his dominant run. We really just call that his career, though.
Yeah, and that puts the Dodgers up 2-0 on the Giants, and man, the Giants needed to do better than that.
One thing I wanted to say about that second game is that Caleb Ferguson was the opener for the Dodgers for Game 2 that they lost, and then he closed Game 3.
Super impressive.
Yeah, very versatile arm.
Something you don't see every day. That's 2014 Mad Bum stuff.
Yeah, so now it's 2-1 Dodgers going into the Sunday finale, and the Giants are now, 4 out of that wild card spot, so they really desperately need this one. And it was a pitcher's duel between Lance Lynn and a Giants opener.
Yeah, which is crazy because when we were looking at the series, we thought there might be some great pitching matchups, and there's been a lot of offense, and then we thought this one would be a lot of offense, and it was a great pitching matchup.
Yeah, it would be Walker who gets the start for the Dodgers or for the Giants, and he goes a clean 1 inning, not allowing any base runners, striking out 2. But the problem is that
they do kind of a bulk start after that.
Yeah, Tristan Beck would come in as the bulk guy, and he was the one that would falter a little bit. Immediately, he would give up a 2-run homer to James Outman, his 22nd of the year, man. That's a nice rookie season.
Very impressive year by the lefty.
Yeah, so he goes up 2-0. Lance Lynn, though, he falters in the, what is it, the 5th inning. He gives up a 2-run homer to Lamont Wade to tie the game, his 17th of the year, 2-2. So now it's just going to be a scoreless game until we've seen this kind of often recently.
Yeah, it's all up to the bullpens now. Where
the bullpens just kind of shut it down until extra innings, and that's exactly what happened again. It would remain 2-2 until the 10th inning, and the Dodgers bullpen just would not cave because they're honestly just too good. And they wouldn't even allow the ghost runner to score in the 10th inning, and the Dodgers walk it off 3-2 thanks to an RBI single from Chris Taylor.
Yeah, honestly, since that rule has come into place, the ghost runners, it's clear that the better team is the one that takes advantage of it more often than not.
The better bullpen usually gets the win in those games, yeah. So yeah, it's a 3-2 Dodgers win. The Giants drop 3 of 4, and they sit 5 out of the final wild card. And honestly, I think you could stick a fork in the San Francisco Giants.
100% stick a fork in them. They are technically behind the Padres at this point.
They're both sitting at the exact same spot in the season with an elimination number of 2, man. It's just, they're both done. So we denounced the we pronounced the Padres dead a while ago. So if the Giants are now even with them, you kind of got to assume they're dead as well.
I'm off both of them. I believe we'll be seeing the Giants next year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be even a little bit tough for the Reds to rebound with their elimination number being 4, but they still have an outside shot. But the Padres and Giants, they're done.
Yeah, the Giants move on to play San Diego now, actually. So
one of them has to be done pretty much today.
And with Cincinnati going and playing the Ohio Bowl, we'll see how they do.
Yeah, so the NL wild card is starting to take a little bit more shape. Some teams falling out. Some teams fighting a little bit harder. It's going to be interesting to see how these last 2 series go.
And San Francisco, I think you fell a little short this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, they got the draw to play the Dodgers 2 out of the last 3 series of the year, and then the Padres in between. So Unfortunate for the schedule, but it is what it is, man.
Most definitely. Thank you to everyone for watching and listening wherever you do. As always, this has been episode 28 of the 9 Frames podcast, and this is Monday, September 25th, 2023. You could catch us on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. We're on Spotify at 9 Frames. X, we're on there at 9 Frames Pod, and we're on PlayerGM.com. I have been Bill Whalen.
And I'm Mike Whalen.
We are on the fast track to October, folks. Strap in, because we are going to be covering all the action every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah, and like I was saying earlier with the premature postseason series, I mean, these all fall into that category with a lot of the series that are coming up this weekend. There's going to be winners and there's going to be losers. Not everyone can make it, and we're going to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, it should be phenomenal action. Keep your eyes peeled, folks.
Yeah, thank you for all the support as well.
Yeah, please like and subscribe and follow us on X.